Hi, this is Galit Goldfarb. Thank you very much for joining me here today. Today I'm going to be talking about how to prevent anemia through diet and supplements. Anemia is defined as hemoglobin or red blood cell concentration below 2 standard deviations of the average physiological needs of the body dependent on the person's age and gender. Now, anemia affects about 1/3 of the world's population and contributes to increased morbidity and mortality. Also decreased work productivity, poor birth outcomes, and impaired behavioral and neurological development in children. Iron is an integral part of the hemoglobin molecule. Hemoglobin is responsible for transporting oxygen around the body, and the causes of iron deficiency vary depending on age, gender, and socioeconomic status. Now, menstruating women, especially those with heavy or lengthy menstruation periods and growing children, are most susceptible to iron deficiency. Globally, the most common cause of anemia is a deficiency of iron, which can result from insufficient consumption of iron-rich foods or lack of iron absorption from the digestive system due to chronic inflammation in most cases. Now, although anemia can also be caused by lack of sufficient red blood cell production, this is called aplastic anemia. It's resulting from failed bone marrow development, or also high rates of red blood cell destruction, often due to viral or bacterial infections or antibiotic or anti-malarial medications, or also frequent use of paracetamol. And also blood loss, often caused by internal bleeding for different reasons, and other vitamin deficiencies that lead to anemia, including deficiencies in the vitamin C, B12, or folic acid, folate. Now, anemia leads to fatigue, depression, and difficulty breathing upon physical effort. Treatment involves treating the cause of the deficiency whenever possible and reversing the deficit by iron supplementation or increasing dietary iron consumption. Iron supplementation is the most often given orally, but in some cases, such as when oral iron isn't well tolerated due to the side effects, or during pregnancy with a lot of vomiting, or people with gastric bypass or malabsorption syndromes or chronic inflammatory diseases, then iron may be given intravenously. Iron and other nutrient deficiency anemias can be managed naturally with diet and supplements. So here are natural ways to prevent or heal anemia. Number one, of course, is iron supplementation. As I mentioned, oral iron supplementation is one of the most common treatments for iron deficiency. Given the global prevalence of iron deficiency, even non-anemic people with borderline iron deficiency should supplement or increase their consumption of iron-rich foods to improve symptoms of iron deficiency. To increase absorption, you should take iron supplements without food because low gastric pH accelerates iron absorption. You also want to consume iron supplements without beverages aside from water, especially tea, coffee, and chocolate and wine. Also without dairy products, and 2 hours before taking any other medications, or also taking calcium or zinc supplements. These should be even taken on separate days if possible, and if not, definitely 2 hours between them, because these interfere with iron absorption. Iron supplements should also be taken with vitamin C rich foods or with vitamin C supplements. I will go into this in just a moment. The intestinal mucosa absorbs iron from both heme and non-heme iron food sources. Heme iron comes from animal products and is obtained from hemoglobin and myoglobin. Now, some people susceptible to iron deficiency may hesitate to shift to a vegan or vegetarian diet, thinking that they will not achieve their iron requirements. However, this is not necessarily true. Many people consuming a meat-rich diet cannot absorb iron well, due to the high levels of inflammation in their bodies that block the iron absorption, and this inflammation is caused actually by the consumption of these animal products. On the one hand, heme iron from animal products is more readily absorbed and not affected by other foods eaten in the same meal. However, high levels of heme iron cause inflammation, and inflammation in the body will block iron absorption. So regular consumption of foods rich in non-heme iron from plant-based foods will help increase iron levels and prevent inflammation in the body that blocks iron absorption. Foods rich in non-heme iron include green leafy vegetables, iron-fortified whole grain breakfast cereals, quinoa, beans, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, basically all of the legumes, cashews, chia, hemp, flax, and sesame and pumpkin seeds, as well as dried fruits, especially dried apricots, figs, and raisins. Research shows no difference in results between supplementation with iron and dietary iron consumption in treating adults with anemia. And in children, this is a little bit different. Iron supplementation did have a better effect on hemoglobin recovery in children. Now, vitamin C, as I mentioned, helps in the absorption of non-heme iron in the diet, which is often affected by other foods eaten in the same meal. So this is where vitamin C comes in. Vitamin C enhances non-heme iron absorption and can reverse the inhibiting effects of substances in foods that disrupt iron absorption, such as the tannins found in teas and calcium phosphate from dairy products and antacids and high fiber foods and caffeine. So when you take vitamin C, it actually helps in its absorption and stops the effect of these iron absorption blockers. The enhancement of iron absorption from non-heme food sources is directly proportional to the quantity of vitamin C present in the same meal. Therefore, I recommend adding vitamin C rich foods when consuming iron supplements or non-heme when you're consuming non-heme iron-rich foods. Vitamin C-rich fruits include citrus fruits and berries. Vitamin C-rich vegetables include bell peppers, potatoes, tomatoes, cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, and maca. If you consume an iron supplement, you can eat fruit about half an hour after the supplement to support its absorption. If you are consuming iron-rich foods, add vitamin C-rich vegetables to the meal to enhance its absorption. Now, also protein affects anemia. Anemia is closely associated with protein intake. You can sometimes correct anemia just by increasing your protein intake without any iron supplementation. Now, this is because protein is needed to produce hemoglobin, which, as mentioned, is the protein that carries oxygen throughout the bloodstream. Without sufficient hemoglobin, we suffer from inadequate red blood cell production. In a sports anemia study, researchers found that anemia was highest in people with low protein diets. High protein foods to include regularly in your diet if you suffer from anemia include soya products, especially tofu, tempeh, edamame, beans, as well as beans, lentils, peas, seeds, nutritional yeast, and teff. It is best to soak or sprout any legumes before cooking them, as this will reduce iron absorption inhibitors. Also, vitamin B12 is essential to making red blood cells, which circulate oxygen throughout the body. A deficiency in B12 can cause anemia and nervous system damage. Research shows a significant relationship between vitamin B12 and hemoglobin concentrations. Since vitamin B12 comes from microorganisms and is not found in plant-based foods unless contaminated, you may take vitamin B12 via a subliminal supplementation of 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin, the active form of vitamin B12, once a week. Vitamin B12 fortified foods and some yeast spreads and certain mushrooms like shiitake mushrooms have some vitamin B12 in them. It is crucial to maintain healthy levels of this vitamin to avoid anemia and nervous system damage and minimize the potential risk of heart disease and pregnancy complications. Also, folate is crucial. People with too little folate in the blood can suffer from folate deficiency, presenting symptoms such as persistent tiredness, weakness, pale skin, irritability, and shortness of breath. When left untreated, the condition can lead to megaloblastic anemia, which can escalate to nerve damage, digestive tract problems, and neurological issues. Treatment involves increasing dietary intake of folate-rich foods or taking folic acid supplements. Foods high in folate include spinach, broccoli, peas, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and mushrooms. Fruits are also high in folate, especially bananas and melons. Oral folic acid supplementation of 1 1 to 5 milligram daily is enough to treat folate deficiency. However, I encourage taking all of the B vitamins together in a B complex supplement and eating a diet with some folate-rich foods daily. So to conclude, anemia is widespread and can severely reduce one's quality of life today. There are easy, natural, and cheap ways to prevent this condition and live a life full of energy and vitality with a few small lifestyle changes. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please also subscribe to my channel if you like this type of content. And also, please visit my website, thegorilladiet.com, to help you move your health and wellness to a better place, help you lose weight, and achieve the health that you desire and deserve. Thank you very much for joining me.